Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks so much for taking some time for us today. I am Dan Coakley, and I'm very excited to introduce to you a little bit more about MGT. I'll share some of our story. We'll talk appetite, then we'll wrap up with a Q&A. So all along the way as we go through this presentation today, please feel welcome to use the chat feature. Should be right around the bottom middle of your screen, maybe right around here. And that will send messages to me and to any other panelists. Then we'll answer those questions as they come in, and we'll wrap up with a Q&A too. So make sure you don't sign out of the meeting just thinking to yourself, wow, I wish I would have asked that one question. We can handle it here with you today. We are just a minute or two ahead of the top of the hour. So for all of you who've already signed in, thank you so much for your promptness and for being on time. I really appreciate that. We'll give the other folks who are maybe not quite that same Gold Star student level just another minute or two to get signed in. And while we get kicked off, I always like to start off with a question. I am really curious for those of you who are signed in, what do you do in your free time? Do you have any hobbies that you really enjoy? I myself like to do a lot of outdoors activities, go on walks, go on hikes. I'm lucky to live close to the mountains and the beach. Love to go to hang out at the river and get some sun time in. And then also too, I really have been enjoying pottery recently. It's been so much fun. You can see some of the examples of my work back behind me. It's been really great to just kind of create something. One thing about my work here at MGT, we spend a ton of time creating very, very, very cool things, but it's almost always completely intangible. So it's really nice to just be able to put my hands on something and turn a lump of mud into a beautiful vase or a bowl or a plate. So feel welcome to use that chat feature. Let us know your hobbies. See, we do have some attendees in here, so don't be shy. We really appreciate the interaction. All right, quiet group today, but no worries. The best part about MGT, for some people at least, is that you can go through the entire life cycle of a policy from logging in to start the quote, binding and issuing, servicing, renewing, without ever having to talk to anybody. So if you're feeling a little quiet, hey, no worries. We have built a great system for you too. So let me go ahead. I'll share my screen and we'll jump right in. Anybody else who is still getting logged in, well, they might just miss the first couple minutes. So with MGT Insurance, the era of Neo Insurance has arrived. And you may be wondering at your desk, what does Neo Insurance mean? No, no problem there. We are the world's first Neo insurer. And when you're the first to do something, sometimes you have to explain what it is you're doing. So I would say you can think of MGT in the context of the larger industry, where you have had over the last, 400 years, insurance companies really taking the lead and helping people protect their livelihoods and their business, making sure a bad day doesn't turn into a bad life. But for all the great and amazing things these companies have done, as they've grown, top of mind has not always been speed and ease of doing business and delivering a delightful experience to everybody. Over the last couple decades, you've had insurtechs joining the market, and there's a lot of different arrangements for them, a lot of different ways that they can work. Um, they can be MGAs, MGUs, wholesalers, fronting companies. But at the end of the day, when you boil everything down and kind of lay it out, they really take a nice layer of technology and build it on top of that legacy carrier experience. And these companies have done great things too. I mean, they walked so we could run. We just appreciate what they've done to move the industry forward. But because they're not the carrier, they really are kind of bound to someone else's decision-making process and goals. MGT is the first neo insurer. We are built on modern technology from the ground up, We control the entire process from setting our appetite and our rates all the way out to quoting, binding, servicing, renewing processes, even adjusting claims when those happen. And because we control the entire process, it lets us really deliver a great experience all along the way to all the stakeholders. And before I jump into the next slide, I saw we had a special guest join us. So, Jason, why don't you come off mute for a second? Just introduce yourself.
I, I, I wonder how you define special in this context. Thanks, Dan. My name is Jason. I'm head of business development here at MGT Insurance. It is my pleasure to work alongside Dan, the rest of the team, to take care of our agents every single day. I'm so excited to see all of you here. We love these webinars because it's a chance to interact with you. And as you see, I already put in the chat, ask us your questions. I will interrupt Dan as he goes through various different stuff. We love to answer them live because we love to interact with you all as well. So thanks for the shout out, Dan, and I'm excited to be chatting with our agents today.
Absolutely. Well, excited to have you here with us. So back to business. With MGT, we have got a lot of great features for you. We are a very financially strong company. We're rated A minus by AM Best, excellent financial strength. We also are writing all of our policies on 100% ISO forms. I like to share that because I know we're not maybe necessarily a household name just yet. ISO is the Insurance Services Office. It's a nonprofit organization that really has helped build this industry. They've written policy forms that are really written to be friendly to the policyholder. And also because of the way they're set up, they're the most legally tested forms on the market as well. So anytime you're taking a licensing or a designation test and it references policy language, very, very good bet that it's actually ISO language that's being referenced. And so with these last 2 points, you can feel confident writing business with us. If there ever is a claim, we'll be here to stand behind that policy, and it'll play out the way you'd expect based on the policy language. We have built for you a zero friction process, and that means no accord forms, no supplementals, no 3 week long email chains with underwriters going back and forth to firm up the details. Our job is to get you terms. Generally, you're able to do that in 3 minutes or less and receive a fully bindable quote. We've also got a wide footprint. We are admitted today in over 40 states and Washington, D.C.
As you transition, Dan, I'm going to keep harping on you folks. We got lots of people in attendance today. Ask your questions. We love them. And if it gets to the point that you haven't asked questions, I'm just going to start throwing some out that we got from Amy. And I think that might make it pretty entertaining because we get folks on our website. I don't know if you've covered it yet. Dan, sorry for spoilers if not, but we have a live appetite agent on our website, Amy, who is also our mascot. And you can see I've done similar things in my background. She's inspirational for personal art as well. But regardless, ask your questions, keep them coming, or else I'm just going to throw some random ones out there. Like, can you translate our website into German? That was one that we recently got that I thought was fantastic. Dan, I bet I
I
stumped you on
haven't,
that one.
I haven't seen that one. The answer to that, for my part, is nine. That's German for
Good.
now.
All right.
Um,
Okay. Yeah. Still haven't stumped you then. We're good.
So, just a couple quick points on MGT by the numbers. I know you've all had this up on your screen. I'm not going to read through the list here. But one thing that I really like to highlight is that in the fourth quarter last year, which is just the last complete quarter that we can measure, although we're getting pretty close to having to update this slide, we had 100% uptime. What that means for you is that every single time someone needed to access our platform to quote, to bind, to service an account, to help someone with questions, to renew a policy, the platform was up, it was online, it was ready to assist. Nobody was held back waiting for us to untangle the technology. Now, let's talk appetite. We are a great fit for small businesses. We're writing about 300 classes of business. Some of the big hits, artists and contractors. We see a lot of restaurants, a lot of professional and medical offices, Retail stores is a really great appetite. Don't sleep on that industry group. Wholesalers and distributors, your barber shops, beauty parlors, and nail salons will have an easy home with us. We'll write your convenience stores, even convenience stores that sell gas, grocery stores, hardware stores. Those can all be a great fit with MGT. We are again focused on small business. For us, that means up to 3 million in revenue for most risks and up to 5 million revenue for professional and medical offices. We'll write businesses with 1 to 100 employees. We'll write businesses with up to 30,000 square feet, although there is some nuance there and it can vary by class code. But that's a great rule of thumb. We'll write up to 2 million total insured value in property per location with up to 4 locations per policy. So you get a lot of flexibility there. And then we are also a great fit for new ventures, businesses with no prior insurance, coverage lapses, claims history. So when you get that nice, perfect, really in the box, like best accountant underwriters seen this week kind of submission on your desk, send that our way. But don't hold yourself back either. If it's got a little bit of a tougher characteristic to it, you can still send it through, and hopefully we'll be able to help you get a quote back on the other side.
While you're switching, Dan, we got a quick question in. Is there any minimum square foot limit for buildings?
That's an excellent question.
Mm.
Generally, as a rule of thumb, there is not. However, if you have a convenience store that's selling gas, there is a 3,000 square foot minimum requirement there. That's just written into the ISO rules. Technically, we write convenience stores that sell gas. We're not a market for gas stations. Yeah, I know. These insurance guys and their definitions. But hey, I'm among friends here. That's how we do things. And that is the difference in those two types of business is the area or the square feet of the store.
Excellent. Thank you.
Now, I get caught a lot of times when I'm talking about our appetite. I'll say we just write bops or we just do a bop. So if that's happened to you, no hard feelings there. We really do a lot more than just the bop. We've got some great coverage enhancements available. And again, I'm not going to go through every single one line by line here. I will share professional liability can be very impactful. That's available for barbershops, beauty parlors, nail salons, and photographers. We also are able to do hire non-owned auto for many of the classes we support, including restaurants that are not doing any self-delivery, including artists and contractors. So don't sleep on those. And if anyone is in a monopolistic workers' comp state, we can do the stopgap coverage as well. We've got some optional coverages and sublimits available to you. The high point here is that as you're working through a quote in our platform, and I'll show you what this looks like in just another minute or so, we will only show you bindable options. So you can always feel confident in standing behind a quote that you're presenting. If you're able to get terms, that's a bindable quote, and you can stand behind that. For restaurants, we do have some great coverage enhancements available. They've got access to higher spoilage and contamination limits. They've got that HNOA I just mentioned. If they're doing valet operations, we can include some coverage for damage to customers' autos. So a lot of great stuff for restaurants. And then also for contractors. This is kind of getting a little bit into the weeds, but we write contractors on a BOP form. It's a little bit different from the way, I think they're handled in a lot of cases where it might be on a CGL. The benefit is automatic coverage for property. It's written into the BOP. So there's some BPP coverage to cover that laptop, any other equipment they might use to help manage the business. There's some coverage for miscellaneous tools and equipment. There is some contractors installation coverage. It's a lot of really good stuff. And also that higher non-owned auto I mentioned, which I know can be a great selling point too. And so let's see how it all works. Now, before we jump into the platform itself, I actually like to start here and show you one of my favorite pages. I know Jason's favorite page on the website. which is if you click into the BOP Appetite tab, this is how you can communicate with Amy. Amy is our AI appetite assistant chatbot. And this is a really, really great tool to have up your sleeve. You can ask it all kinds of questions. Can you write a deli in Philadelphia? Even though Delhi is not a specific class code, and even though I didn't specify it's Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Amy's smart enough to kind of parse through that question and deliver an accurate answer. It's also able to keep the context of a conversation. So if you have follow-up questions, you can ask those. And it knows our appetite deeper than just a class and state level. If you wanted to know like a specific underwriting feature, if we were to say like, can you write a deli shop with a mechanical bull in it? Amy would be able to tell us, with that mechanical bull, not going to be a great fit. And at least then before you've gone through all the legwork of working up a quote. And I really do see people in our platform quoting and binding business at 3 in the morning. Going to be tough to get me on the phone at that hour. Going to be real tough. And honestly, I wouldn't stand behind any answers that you get at that hour either. Amy, on the other hand, is available for you 24/7, 365, and always a great resource for those appetite questions as they come up. One last thing to highlight here, if you look in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, you'll see this little chat box, and you can use this to instant message back and forth with our support team. They're available to you by phone. They do respond to their emails as well. And I always like to recommend the chat support feature here. When you're in the platform and you use this, it will actually let them know exactly which quote you're working on and exactly which page you're on. So it just makes it a little faster and easier to help you out with that specific advice.
And if I can do a quick plug for it as well, we're all one pretty well unified team. So the support team works hand in hand with both distribution and underwriting. So any questions that it is that you have, we've got resources available to answer no matter how in-depth or general they are. So highly encourage it. There's a reason that our CSATs are so high on one of those screens that Dan showed previously. So yeah, definitely reach out. We love to hear from you.
Absolutely. And so to really get the party started, we just click sign in, enter in our login credentials, and then that takes us into the portal. From here, there's a lot of good stuff you can do. You can start a new quote, you can add new users to your agency, and you can go review that appetite page as well. Along the sidebar, you have some different options for policies, quotes, user management. And so those will give you quick links to access those pages as well. Let's go ahead and start a quote. And the first thing we'll do is enter in the business name. I will just use a Smoothie King that's near our office in Denver. And this one's really fun to show. The neighborhood that our office is in, it's called the Denver Tech Center, or abbreviated as DTC. This is just a great little like way to demonstrate how powerful this search is. When we type in DTC, it knows that that's the Denver Tech Center, and it can find that specific Smoothie King. So we'll click that. If they had a DBA, we could enter it. In my experience, this is able to find the business almost every time. Every once in a while, you'll have somebody who is like completely off the grid, or maybe the business doesn't even technically exist yet. They're just getting started. If that's the case and it can't find that information, you can click enter business info manually and enter in their information that way too. We'll click continue here. And this is where it starts to get pretty cool. You can see it's identified that class of business as a juice bar. We'll select business owner's policy. I will give you all a heads up. I am in our demo system. It has some features that you will not see on your side of the screen. I am positive we had people who got really, really excited when they saw commercial auto and lesser's risk on there. I just want to let you know that's not going to be on your side of the screen.
I got
But hey,
excited.
maybe coming soon. Maybe coming soon. I can't say, but it is right there on the screen.
I got
So
excited when I saw it, Dan. Every time. But yeah,
So,
we're working on building out those products, y'all. That's why you'll see it in the demo environment. So now's a great time to be joining up with us.
and what's happening now once we click continue is where the technology of MGT starts to come into the process. We're communicating here with dozens of different data vendors. We're finding over 3,900 data points on this Smoothie King. So, I mean, it's just a really powerful tool. And you can see how fast that was, and it's set us up to just kind of click through this application. You see some of these questions are pre-filled for us, and that's because the technology is identified, this is not in an apartment or hotel. Juice bars are pretty straightforward as far as a submission goes. If you're working on like a full-blown restaurant or an artisan contractor risk, there will be some more questions in this page, and you'll see even with those classes, a lot of those questions are going to be pre-filled. So we'll click continue. You can see it was able to find the year it was established, the entity type, knows it's not a home-based business, number of employees. This is all looking right on. But say, for example, we know this business very well. We know they've actually been around since 2023. If we need to make any adjustments, we can. We're not locked into what the algorithms have found either. So I like to say trust but verify. And as you go through, make sure you're not just kind of continue clicking through. Review them and double check, but we have hopefully saved you some time and some effort on the data entry. We'll click continue here. Now, this does happen for restaurants a lot. It'll identify some feature of their online presence that indicates special events. If that is a misfire and there are no special events, you can just set that to 0 and then roll right on through. If they do host special events, though, we can include coverage for those special events and host liquor liability as well. So we'll click continue here. We'll enter in their gross sales and then click continue again. And then this is the page we'll be able to use to add any additional insureds. So we've got one eligibility question here. We'll click add additional insured, select the type of additional insured endorsement, enter in their information, answer a couple eligibility questions. And then once we complete this quote, that additional insured will be included in the pricing and in the quote letter. If you accidentally click that button one too many times, just click the little trash can icon to remove it, and then we can continue right on through. The next page is adding in any building and content information. Our technology is actually able to, this is one of my favorite things it does. It can find this building in Google Maps, trace out its footprint, and then use that to calculate out the square footage. So it's got that for us. It also can find the construction type, can identify whether they have automatic sprinkler systems. And then most of the time, it will come pre-selected with 100,000 business personal property limits. Maybe we just want to update that to 50,000, and then we'll click continue. In this page, if we needed to go back in and edit any of that additional insured or building information, we just click the edit icon to go do that. If we need to add any additional locations, we can click this button to do that as well. And then we'll just click continue here to lock it in and go right through. One last question, opt out of TRIA coverage. We'll keep it on and click continue again. And now it will start to load our quote. And so that's really all it took. I know it always takes a little bit longer when I'm narrating along the way, but I think we completed that submission in maybe about 8 minutes. Luckily for you, my voice is not built into the platform, so it'll be a little bit faster when you're doing this on your own. And most of our agents, once they get a few of these under their belt, they're able to complete full submission in 3 minutes or less. From here, we can edit all of the sublimits and deductibles, the optional coverages. To do that, just select the drop-down box. As we adjust these coverages, you'll see in the upper right-hand corner that premium will update for us as we go along. So you can really use this to kind of help an applicant weigh their options, manage their risk as best fits them. And, as we go through, we'll maybe add in some outdoor sign coverage. Let's do 10,000 for that. We can update deductibles here. I think 1,000 is pretty good for what we've got. We can add in some equipment breakdown. We'll add on some higher non-owned auto. And now that we've got all those changes made, we'll get an update in our pricing here in just a second. And then we'll say we like these options as they're set. We'll click update quote. And then that will set up the quote letter to be able to download for us. One quick note here, if you need to make any adjustments to a quote, the way to do that is to click edit quote. That'll take you back through the quote flow. You can use this jump to section button to skip ahead to specific sections of that quote. But if you don't click edit quote first, it'll be in a review mode. And so will look like you can't change things, but you actually can. You just need to click edit quote first. From here, all we've got left is the fun part. So let's click continue to bind. We'll confirm that effective date. This is one thing I would suggest while we're all on the call together. Lock in the effective date before you proceed through this process. I have had this happen, I mean, almost every day, and it's fine. It means people are working with us. We love to see it. But if you proceed past this, you can't edit the quote anymore unless we go in and revert that bind request. So make sure all the details are the way that they need to be before you send the link over to finalize the policy. So we'll go ahead and just do a May 1st effective date. Once we select that, it'll update the quote, make sure all the rates are accurate still. And then once it's done updating, we'll click continue to go into the next step here. The next step's just adding in the applicant's contact information. One thing that a lot of agents that I work with will do is they'll actually put their own email address here. And that way they're getting CC'd anytime something goes out to the applicant. So they can just stay in touch with the process a little bit easier. Now we'll click confirm and send to insured. That's going to send them a nice professional looking email from MGT, including that payment link. Once they follow that, then we'll be able to bind and issue the policy. Where it'll take you next is this page, which is what you'll see after a quote has been sent over to the applicant. This is a lot of people's favorite feature as well. You can use these check boxes to stay in touch with what's happening to that link once you've sent it out. And if you're ever working with somebody who needs a little extra hand, maybe they don't get that email for one reason or another, we've added this copy share link button. So you can click that. That'll copy that same exact link to your clipboard. Then you can put that in an email. You can send it out as a text, however you like to communicate with your clients. I'm just going to open a new tab and paste that in so that you can see what this process looks like. From here, we'll select annual, quarterly, or monthly payments. We're direct bill, so there's no additional finance charges. And this is another great feature. If you click view payment schedule, it'll show you exactly what each installment is and when it's due. So let's go ahead with the quarterly payments. The next step is to e-sign all the policy documents. So we're getting everything loaded right now. Might take just another couple seconds to get all that filled out. And then we can actually e-sign all the policy documents in just a few seconds. So we'll give it the official squiggle. Everybody likes that. And then we'll consent to e-signing. And you can click start signing to go through page by page, review every signature page. You can also click sign all, which I'll do here to make this a little bit easier for us all. So now it's getting everything loaded. The insured is getting an email. I've actually already got it in my inbox that has copies of all those signed documents. You as the agent will get a notice as well. And then if we go back to this page, you'll see this checkbox will check off for us. So you can stay in touch with what's happening with that link.
Great question, and Dan. Ricardo asks, on quotes, are we able to add the agency fee to the quote before emailing it to the customer?
That's a great question. The way our process is currently designed, there's really not a way to add the agency fee within the MGT platform. There are potentially some workarounds there. If you were to separately invoice the client and make payment to MGT from, say, the agency trust account, that might be one way to collect the fee. Um, it's possible, but it's not really built into the system either, and they'd still have to sign those documents through our system, and they may see the premium without the agency fee in that case.
Yeah, so all of that is really good insight, Dan. Thank you. And a really great question, Ricardo. So all that is to say that we don't prohibit it, we just don't facilitate it. And as I'm sure most of you are aware, all of the different laws are different for different states. And we don't have the capacity to be able to make all of that individualized based off the ever-changing laws of all the individual states on what broker fees are allowed. So we leave that up to y'all. But it's a really great call out. Thank you for mentioning it, Ricardo. And great job.
Yep. And so all that's left now is collecting payment. We do have, and again, just to give everybody a heads up, there are transaction fees. They're charged by our payment vendor. And they do vary based on the method of payment and the installments. Rule of thumb, ACH, always going to be more cost effective. So I like to recommend that when that's an option. And then we'll just enter in the applicant's payment information, their name, account number. I know you're all thinking, wow, I wish it was this easy when I had to do this. And then we'll click complete transaction. At this point, we've processed the payment. We've got the invoice number. We can click back into the platform and you'll see this will update for us here in just a second. And all the policy documents should be available for issuance within usually about 60 to 90 seconds. So it's pretty fast. You can download the application, download the policy docs here. And then once it is bound and issued, then it'll be available for review in the platform as well. Now, one additional thing, I'm trying to show this off too, just to give you all the information you need to be successful. Once we bind the policy, you might need to make some changes to it. To do that, you can just go to mgtinsurance.com/endorsements, bookmark it that first time you go there. That way, if you ever need to re-access it, you can just type MGT endorsements in, and it'll take you right there. And then we'll collect all the information we need to process that endorsement. And if you're working with, say, a contractor who's considering adding an additional insured for a job they may or may not take, you can click quote only to get pricing back. And that way you can send that over to the policyholder and they can weigh their options and make sure that, they're managing their business. And then once they're ready to move forward with it, we'll have it all ready and quoted, and then we can just process it and attach it to the policy. So we put together some recent wins for you. And I think these do a great job of showing the kinds of accounts that will be the best help for you with. We did an electronics retailer in Texas. This was actually a cell phone store in the Houston area. Really tough place to get insurance. They actually had been non-renewed by the incumbent carrier, but they were able to get a bound admitted policy, no theft exclusions or sublimits in 9 minutes. We had a convenience store in South Carolina. They had 1 mil, 2 mil GL limits, 75,000 in BPP, came in about 3,500 in premium, and it took them 6 minutes to complete that quote, and then just a couple more minutes to get it bound and issued. And then I like to show this one off too. We had a seafood restaurant in Georgia, 1 mil, 2 mil GL, 1 mil, 2 mil liquor liability, about $1 million in property, came into just shy of 15,000 in premium. So, I mean, yes, we'll handle those. We'll handle those like smaller, really like true mom and pop businesses all day long. We can handle some of the bigger ones too. And they were really able to tailor a lot of those sublimits and optional coverages to be able to really provide something bespoke for that policyholder. And then one last slide, then we'll answer a couple of the questions that came in. And I'll leave this up on the screen for you while we go through those too. So if you want to screenshot it, if you want to copy any of this information down, please feel welcome to do that. I'm not going to move on to the next page for a couple minutes. But you have a whole team here at MGT to support you. We're not just about great technology. You've got an amazing human team that stands behind it to deliver a great experience to you. You'll see me up there. If you're ever not sure who to reach out to, please reach out to me. I'll make sure to help you out. You've got Annalise. If you haven't heard from her yet, it's just because you haven't run a quote with us yet. But you will be talking to her and hearing from her shortly too. She's a great advocate for you and a really great resource as well. We've got an underwriting team that's responsive by email or by phone. We've got instant message support. We've got a customer support team. They're a great resource for general questions, tech issues, midterm adjustments. And then, of course, Amy, who we met earlier in the presentation as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of the questions that came in. Let's see. So we had one, is the contractor classification allowing for contractors who do framing? I believe framing's out of appetite for us. Um, we do write carpenters though. So maybe a related class, maybe not so much if they're kind of doing like the new construction of residential buildings, but hey, if they're coming in, hanging up the cabinets, installing like uh, counters and things like that, bring it on. We'll be a great fit there. And then when quoting, can we quote if customer needs excess, workers' comp, professional insurance? Ricardo, I love how you're thinking there.
Yeah.
At this time, we're really just writing the BOP, or there I go. Like, we're not just writing the BOP, but we do only write BOP policies. So we might not be the best resource for excess, for workers' comp, for professional, unless they're in those few classes where we can do the professional liability for them. I think our hope there is we're making it so easy to knock out the bot that it's giving you more time to focus on some of those lines that can be a little bit tougher, take a little bit more work to access, like the workers' comp. And then a quick call out too, or Jason's going to get on my case. We can do 2 mil, 4 mil limits. It's in the quoting system in that quote presentation page, and you can select those to instant quote the 2 mil, 4 mil limits.
Maybe you make me sound so mean sometimes, Dan. Like all I do is yell at you all day. I mean, it's true, but like you don't have to tell the public that. No, this has been great. I've really loved all the feedback from the agents in the chat. And great job on all of this, Dan. I don't know if you want me to tee you up or not, but there's a question that we almost never get that I think that you hope for every single time.
I know, I'm waiting for it.
I'm gonna ask you instead of the audience then, Dan, what does MGT stand for?
Well, that's a great question, Jason. I'm glad you asked. I think this afternoon, MGT stands for Mighty Good Time. I know I've had one. I hope you have too. Thanks so much for joining us. We're super excited to be working with you. I will say before we sign out here, this is my favorite 40-minute block of the whole day, really the whole week. This is where we get to engage directly with the agents who are the most invested, the most interested in learning about MGT and working with us. And we're here to support you today and through your entire journey with us. Thanks again for considering MGT, and we're looking forward to working with you.
Have a great day, everybody.